I didn't cry when they didn't show up. I thought I would, but I didn't. The ceremony went on. The vows, the music, the trembling hands, all under that soft sunset glow that felt like it was trying to apologize on their behalf. I smiled for the photos, even though the two empty seats in the front row burned a hole through every moment. Everyone else assumed it was traffic or illness or some misunderstanding. But I knew better. With my parents, absence was never an accident. It was punishment. My mother had called 2 weeks before the wedding, her voice cool and sharp as a blade. I hope you're not expecting us to attend that spectacle. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. Spectacle? I'd asked, confused. It's my wedding, Mom. She laughed, low and cruel. Exactly. You're marrying beneath our standard, Emily. Your father and I have a reputation. We can't lower the family's name for your emotional experiments. I'd gripped the phone tighter. You're talking about Michael. He's a good man, Mom. He loves me. And that's sweet, she said, dripping with sarcasm. But love doesn't buy dignity. Dad's voice joined in from the background like a ghostly echo. We won't attend, Emily. Family standard comes first. Click. End of call. I stood there in the kitchen that day, staring at the phone, my heart pounding against my ribs. My fiancé Michael came in, drying his hands from washing the dishes, and saw my face. What happened? I forced a smile, shaking my head. Nothing. They're just busy. I lied because the truth was too humiliating. That night, I lay awake, thinking about every moment that had led to this point, all the ways they'd made me feel less. When my sister Lila dropped out of college, they threw her a mental health getaway to Paris. When I graduated top of my class, they gave me a $10 gift card to a restaurant that had closed 3 months prior. When Lila wrecked her car, Dad replaced it the next day. When mine broke down, he said, "Maybe walk to work. It'll teach you responsibility." Their message was always the same. I was the disappointment that happened to share their last name. And yet, some foolish part of me still thought they'd come to the wedding. On the day itself, I kept glancing at the doors. Every time someone entered, my heart jumped. But it was never them. Not when I walked down the aisle. Not when Michael whispered, "I do." Not even when my new father-in-law handed me a bouquet with tears in his eyes. Something I'd secretly hoped my own dad would do. After the ceremony, while everyone toasted and danced, I slipped away to the quiet corner behind the reception hall and opened my phone. No missed calls, no messages, just silence. The next morning, I sent one message. "Why didn't you come?" Hours passed before she replied. When she finally did, it was a single text that said, "We didn't want to lower the family standard." That was it. No apology, no explanation. Just pure arrogance dressed as pride. I read that message over and over until it blurred. Then I showed it to Michael, who stared at it for a long time before saying quietly, "You don't have to chase them anymore." But for years I still did. Out of habit, out of longing, out of that childhood reflex that told me love had to be earned. The calls dwindled. The texts stopped. The silence became normal. 3 years passed like that. 3 quiet, rebuilding years. Michael and I built a small home together, started a local design business, and somehow, without meaning to, found success. We didn't live rich, but we lived right. Stable, peaceful, happy. My business grew slowly, then suddenly. One design deal led to another, and soon my work was being featured in magazines. I didn't brag. I didn't call them to tell them. But news travels fast when it's the kind people like my mother care about, the kind that comes with status. It was a Friday afternoon when my phone rang, displaying a number I hadn't seen in years. For a moment, I considered ignoring it, but curiosity won. "Hello?" "Emily," Mom's voice came through, bright, sugary, pretending nothing had ever happened. "It's been ages. Your father and I have missed you so much." I almost laughed. "Really? Missed me? You skipped my wedding, Mom." She sighed dramatically. "You know how things were then. Your father was under a lot of stress. We made a mistake, but we're family." There it was, the old manipulation wrapped in warmth. But her next line revealed the truth. "We're in a bit of financial trouble," she said carefully. "Your father's business investments haven't gone as planned. We just need a little help until things stabilize." A pause. Then Dad's voice, still arrogant, though now shaky. "It's just temporary, Em. You've done well for yourself, right? We raised you well." The audacity almost made me smile. The same people who couldn't bear to attend my wedding because I lowered the family standard now wanted my help. I didn't answer right away. I just listened to the silence on their end, the way desperation had replaced dignity. And for the first time in my life, I realized I had the power they'd spent years denying me. I didn't know exactly what I was going to say yet, but I knew this. Whatever came next wouldn't be for their comfort. It would be for closure. I let the silence stretch until Mom finally broke it. "Emily, are you still there?" "Yes," I said slowly. "I'm just trying to remember something." "What?" she asked, her voice too polite, too careful. "I'm trying to remember the last time you called me because you wanted to hear my voice, not because you needed something." She didn't like that. I could hear the shift, the tiny inhale of annoyance she always tried to hide. "You don't need to make this emotional," she said. "We're still your parents. Family helps family." "Family," I repeated softly. "That's an interesting word coming from you." Dad spoke up then, voice colder than before. "Emily, you've grown arrogant. Don't forget who gave you everything." I laughed quietly. "Everything? You mean the years you spent reminding me I wasn't enough? The wedding you skipped? The text you sent afterward?" "Don't twist things," Mom snapped. "We had our reasons." "Right," I said. "The family standard." Her silence was answer enough. "Listen," she started again, her tone slipping into sugar. "I know we've had our differences, but we're in a difficult place right now. You're successful, and it would mean so much to help us through this." "Successful?" I said. "You mean good enough to matter now?" She sighed. "Emily, stop holding grudges. It's childish." I smiled to myself. Funny, I used to believe that too. When the call ended, I sat there in the quiet, staring at my phone. For a long time, I didn't feel anger. Just a strange sort of relief, like I'd been waiting my whole life for them to finally expose the emptiness behind their pride. That night, Michael asked, "You okay?" "They called," I said. "They want money." He raised an eyebrow. "Of course they do." "What would you do?" "I'd remember how they made you feel," he said simply. The next morning, I got another text from Mom. "We could lose the house, Emily. You don't want that on your conscience, do you?" Conscience. The same word she'd used when she told me not to embarrass the family by marrying a man she considered beneath her. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened the old photo folder I'd saved years ago, the one filled with images from my wedding day. Me and Michael under the lights, smiling like we belonged somewhere for once. The photo of the 2 empty chairs in the front row. And the text she'd sent that night. We didn't want to lower the family standard. I saved those 2 images side by side, her text and those chairs, and stared at them until they didn't hurt anymore. Then, with calm hands, I typed a message back. "I'm sorry for your situation, but my husband and I have our own family to protect now. I hope you understand. No anger, no lectures, just a boundary." A few hours later, she replied, "You'll regret this. Don't forget who you came from." And I sent one last message. "I didn't come from you. I survived you." After that, I blocked their numbers. For the first time, I felt light. Not triumphant, not spiteful, just free. Because I finally understood what love wasn't. It wasn't obligation. It wasn't guilt. It wasn't giving until you broke. And while they'd taught me nothing about compassion, they'd taught me everything. About what it means to build peace on your own. I didn't owe them money. I didn't owe them forgiveness. I only owed my son the truth about what real family looks like. When he grows up, I'll tell him. Some people say family is everything, but sometimes everything isn't worth keeping. That's when I realized I wasn't their disappointment anymore. I was their mirror, and they finally had to look. 3 weeks passed before I heard from them again. Not through a call this time, through my sister, Lila. Her message came late one night, a single paragraph that started polite and ended desperate. Mom and Dad are losing the house. Dad's blood pressure is bad. They said you won't even talk to them. Can't you help Emily? You're the only one doing well. Be the bigger person. I stared at it for a long time. Lila had always been their darling, the one they protected, the one who never had to earn their approval. I almost envied how easy her love with them had always been, but her message didn't make me angry. It made me sad, because she still didn't get it. She still believed kindness meant surrender. I wrote back, I've helped my whole life, Lila. It's their turn to learn what it's like to stand alone. That was the first time I hit send without guilt. A month later, I saw Mom again, by accident. I was at a cafe downtown finalizing a design layout for a client. When I looked up, there she was outside the window, her once flawless posture slumped, her makeup streaked, her clothes no longer polished. For a split second, her eyes met mine through the glass. She froze. Then she smiled like nothing had happened and came inside. Emily, she said softly, you look… Well, I am, I said. She sat down without asking. Your father's in bad shape. We've lost most of the savings. I didn't want to come here like this, but… She paused, her eyes searching mine. You're doing so well, and you're still our daughter. It was the same voice she used to use when she wanted obedience disguised as affection. Mom, I said calmly this time, do you remember my wedding day? Her face twitched. That was years ago. No, I interrupted. Do you remember the text you sent me that night? She looked away. I took out my phone and slid it across the table. The message still sat there on the screen, preserved like a scar. We didn't want to lower the family standard, she exhaled. I was angry. You know your father and I have always been proud. We thought we were doing the right thing. By humiliating me? I asked. By pretending love was a luxury only you could afford? Her eyes filled with tears, but I didn't move. I'm not here to punish you, I said, but you can't ask for help from the same child you refused to love. She wiped her face. So that's it? You're just going to let us suffer? I leaned back in my chair. No, Mom, you're going to let yourselves learn. For a moment, she looked like she might argue, but something in her expression faltered. The recognition that I wasn't the same girl who used to flinch at her tone. When she finally left, she didn't look back. Weeks later, I found out from Lila that they'd sold the big house and moved into a smaller place outside the city. They didn't have the staff anymore, the parties, the curated life. Their family standard had shrunk down to survival, and I didn't feel joy about it, just clarity, because revenge wasn't about making them hurt. It was about never letting them decide what my worth was again. 3 years after that cafe moment, Michael and I renewed our vows on our anniversary. This time, there were no empty chairs, no missing parents, just friends, laughter, and peace. During dinner, someone asked if my family would ever be part of my life again. I thought about it, smiled, and said, they already had their chance. Later that night, when the candles flickered low, I scrolled through my old messages one last time, found that same cruel text, and deleted it. Because they didn't define my standard anymore, I did, and mine didn't require forgiveness to feel free. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.